So next, let's take a look at how to set up Ableton for multi-track drum recording. So first thing you want to do is get your audio inputs all set up. So if we go to Preferences and click on the Audio tab, you'll see here that our M-Audio Firewire device is selected. And let's look at our Input Configuration tab here. So I've highlighted tracks 1 and 2, tracks 9 through 16 for input. And this all relates to the tracks 9 through 16 relates to the Octane preamp as far as all the individual mics going in there, and then coming through ADAT light pipe into the project mix in tracks 9 through 16. So if we go back to look at our assignments here, for instance, overhead left is coming in external input track 9, and overhead right is coming into track 10. And that all relates to the Octane preamp. So here we have the Octane preamp, and the first two inputs, tracks 9 and 10, are our overhead mics. Track 11 is our bass drum mic. Track 12 is our snare drum mic. The toms are 13 and 14. Hi-hat is 15. And our compression wild thing, the vibulator, is track 16. So anyway, you line these inputs 9 through 16, since they're coming through the ADAT light pipe, inputs 9 through 16, corresponding to your input tracks in Ableton Live. In Preferences, under the Defaults tab, is under Audio Recording, what type of file you want to record and the bit depth. I've been recording AIFF files at 24-bit, and a lot of people like the idea of 24-bit resolution, giving them a little bit more sound than 16-bit. Alright, so once you're set up and ready to go input-wise, let's see what's happening sound-wise. So let's solo our drum track. So here we have our drums going. And let's take a look track by track what we have going on here. Let's look at our snare drum track in the same way. So again, we have Drumagog involved, and also the Vintage Warmer compressor. And with the compressors, I'm basically just using the presets, like it's the snare drum track preset, there's the funky bass drum track preset. So being a dumb drummer or whatever, it's not like I have a total handle on all this stuff, but the presets, you know, within the Vintage Warmer seem to really have worked out great for me. So let's listen to the snare drum. So here is the sound of the snare drum just in the room under the 57. So this is my snare drum. And for this track, I was thinking about trying to get some more ring and tone involved. So Drumagog has a sample here, ringy strainer snare. So if I add that in, and here's the sample by itself being triggered from my drum. And here's the visual readout of Drumagog, where you can actually see the audio track triggering the sample. And by lowering that, you can pick up more of the ghost notes and different things like that. So you can also tune this. You know, totally changing the personality of the track. So there's my drum again. Now let's add the compressor. So, you know, pretty cool drum sound considering it's in a small room like this. Now let's take it one more step, because with the limitations of a room this size, like sometimes you might be working on a track that needs like a room sound. So one thing that is great about Drumagog is that it has an advanced tab here that allows you to send MIDI out. So here on my snare drum track, I have MIDI out enabled, and it's in the internal port, which means inside Ableton here. And I'm sending it down MIDI channel 1, MIDI note D1. And what this is going to is another one of my favorite plugins, BFD. So BFD is an amazing instrument to get to know. You can go through and have access to tons of different snare drums, and just amazing, the ease of use of the user interface, and seeing the snare drums, all the different kinds that you can choose and drag in, and same thing with bass drums, toms. Here's a Doc Martin boot stomping on the floor if you want to trigger that. In this context, I'm using the BFD for just the room sound. So it gives me the ability in a small room like this to imply like a bigger room sound. So check it out. The solo, the drum. So you can hear the room sound kind of kicking in there. So what this is the MIDI signal coming off a Drumagog and triggering the room sound of BFD. And here's your mic for different room sounds. So there's the room, here's the PCM perspective. So without the room sound, here's just a dry kick drum and snare, and then dragging the room in. Anyway, so that's another amazing revelation that for recording in a home studio environment, the ability to imply like a bigger room space has really been a breakthrough as well. So let's take a look at what we've got going on all together here. Anyway, thanks for joining me over here at Home Studio, looking at what you can do in the year 2006. It's really been inspiring trying to figure this out, and as a drummer, getting your own drum sound going at home and stuff like that. But the tools that you have available Now it's really possible to get a great drum sound going on at home. All right, thanks a lot.